Have you ever felt the sting of betrayal? The kind that cuts so deep it leaves you questioning everything? Your trust, your kindness, even your own worth? What if I told you that pain isn't your enemy, but your greatest teacher? Welcome to Zenlight 8, where we dive into the raw, unfiltered truths of life through the lens of Stoicism and self-improvement. In today's episode, we're not just talking about surviving hurt. We're uncovering how to transform it into unshakable strength, purpose, and peace. Stick with us to the end, because I'm going to share practical, real-world strategies you can apply today to reclaim your inner power and live with clarity in a chaotic world. This isn't just philosophy, it's a roadmap for thriving in 2025 and beyond. Let's get started. Picture this. You're standing in the middle of a crowded street, holding a glass jar filled with crystal clear water. Every step you take, every person who brushes past you, every shout or shove threatens to spill that water, to cloud its clarity. That jar is your peace, your inner sanctuary, the quiet strength that keeps you grounded. And yet, how often do you let others jostle it, muddy it, or even shatter it, all in the name of keeping the peace? Today, we're diving into the Stoic art of protecting your peace, not as a passive retreat, but as a bold, deliberate act of strength. This isn't about running from conflict or hiding from the world. It's about choosing who and what gets access to your soul, because your peace is not just a luxury, it's your power. On Zenlight 8, we're here to remind you that in a world that thrives on chaos, guarding your inner calm is a rebellion, a declaration that you will not be owned by anyone's dysfunction. Let's unpack this together, because protecting your peace isn't just a philosophy, it's a skill you can master starting right now. The Stoics, those ancient architects of resilience, understood something profound. Peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of alignment. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his journal under the weight of an empire, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that for a moment. Your peace doesn't depend on someone else's apology, their approval, or their change of heart. It depends on you, your choices, your discipline, your refusal to let external noise dictate your inner rhythm. Too often we give that power away. We let a friend's careless words linger in our minds for days. We let a coworker's negativity drain our energy. We let the chaos of a single moment spiral into hours, weeks, even years of unrest. I've been there. Years ago, I had a friend, let's call her Sarah, who I trusted deeply. We'd share late-night conversations, dreams, and vulnerabilities. But over time, I noticed a pattern. Every interaction left me feeling heavier, doubting myself, like I was carrying her insecurities on top of my own. I kept silent, thinking that's what loyalty demanded. I told myself, this is what friends do, they stick it out. But one day, it hit me. Loyalty to others shouldn't mean disloyalty to myself. So I stepped back, not with anger, not with a dramatic exit, but with quiet resolve. I stopped explaining, stopped overgiving, stopped letting her chaos rent space in my soul. And you know what happened? The weight lifted. My clarity returned. I wasn't losing a friend. I was reclaiming my peace. This is what the Stoics teach us. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It's sacred. It's not about shutting people out. It's about choosing who gets to stay in. Imagine your mind as a garden, one you've spent years tending, planting seeds of hope, resilience, and purpose. Would you let just anyone trample through it, pulling up roots, leaving weeds behind? Of course not. Yet that's what we do when we let toxic voices, careless actions, or draining relationships occupy our mental space. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it bluntly, "No person can steal your peace unless you give them access to your thoughts." That's the key, access. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to answer every call, respond to every text, or fix every misunderstanding. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is say, "This isn't worth my energy," and walk away. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Because you know that every moment you spend in chaos is a moment stolen from your growth. Let's make this practical for 2025, because protecting your peace isn't just a nice idea, it's a daily practice. Start small. Next time someone tries to pull you into drama, maybe a colleague venting endlessly about office politics or a family member guilt-tripping you into something that doesn't align with your values, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, does this serve my clarity? If the answer is no, set a boundary. It doesn't have to be loud or confrontational. A simple, I hear you, but I need to focus on my priorities right now, is enough. Try this for 1 week. Keep a journal, nothing fancy, just a notebook or your phone's notes app, and write down one interaction each day where you chose your peace over someone else's chaos. Maybe it's saying no to an extra project at work when your plate is already full. Maybe it's muting a group chat that's become a breeding ground for negativity. By the end of the week, you'll notice something. Your energy is higher, your focus sharper, your sense of self stronger. That's the power of protecting your peace. But let's go deeper, because this isn't just about saying no, it's about saying yes to what matters. In Stoicism, peace isn't passive. It's active, intentional, a choice you make every day to align with your highest values. Think of it like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. In my own life, I started setting aside 10 minutes every morning, not for scrolling through social media or checking emails, but for sitting in silence, reflecting on what I want my day to mean. I ask myself, what's one thing I can do today to honor my purpose? Sometimes it's as simple as writing a kind note to a friend who lifts me up. Other times, it's tackling a task I've been avoiding because it feels daunting. Those 10 minutes ground me. Remind me that my peace is my foundation, not a byproduct of someone else's behavior. You can do this too. Set a timer on your phone, find a quiet corner, maybe your kitchen table before the day starts, and give yourself those 10 minutes to reset. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Now I know what you're thinking. What if people don't get it? What if they call me selfish or distant? Let them. The truth is, when you start protecting your peace, you'll ruffle feathers. People who've grown comfortable with your availability will push back. They'll say you've changed, and they're right. You have. You're no longer willing to sacrifice your clarity for their comfort. You're no longer open to relationships that thrive on chaos instead of growth. And that's not loss, it's liberation. The Stoics didn't wait for applause to live by virtue, and neither should you. Your peace doesn't need a standing ovation. It needs your commitment. In a world that's louder than ever, 24/7 notifications, endless news cycles, pressure to perform, choosing peace is your superpower. It's what lets you walk through a storm without becoming the storm. Here's a real-world example to bring this home. Consider Emily, a 32-year-old graphic designer from Chicago. She was the go-to person for everyone, her boss, her friends, even her extended family. She'd stay up late finishing projects, say yes to every favor, and absorb everyone's complaints, all while her own dreams sat on the back burner. One day, she hit a breaking point. A client's harsh feedback sent her spiraling, not because it was fair, but because she'd been pouring herself into everyone else's needs, leaving nothing for herself. That's when she stumbled across Stoicism, specifically Seneca's idea that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Emily decided to try an experiment. For 30 days, she'd say no to anything that didn't align with her core values, creativity, health, and meaningful connections. She turned down a low-paying project that didn't excite her. She stopped answering calls during her evening workouts. She even told her cousin, who constantly vented without listening, that she needed space. At first, it felt uncomfortable, even selfish. But by day 30, Emily felt lighter than she had in years. She started painting again, something she hadn't done since college. She reconnected with friends who respected her boundaries. Her work improved because she was no longer stretched thin. Emily didn't just protect her peace, she reclaimed her life. You can do this too. Protecting your peace doesn't mean cutting everyone off or living like a hermit. It means making deliberate choices about where your energy goes. In 2025, with the world moving faster than ever, this is more crucial than ever. Maybe it's setting a no notifications rule after 8 p.m. so you can read or spend time with loved ones. Maybe it's walking away from a toxic group chat or a relationship that only takes without giving. Whatever it is, know this. Every time you choose your peace, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're telling the world, I am not here to be consumed. I am here to create, to grow, to live with purpose. That's Stoic strength. That's your strength. So take a deep breath, hold that jar of clear water steady, and decide today that no one gets to cloud it without your permission. Your peace is yours to guard, and in guarding it, you become unstoppable. Now, protecting your peace is just the first step. What happens when the hurt comes, when the betrayal stings, and you're tempted to fight fire with fire? That's where our next truth comes in, refusing to become what hurt you. Let's dive into that together. There's a moment after you've been hurt, betrayed, lied to, dismissed, when a voice inside whispers something dangerous. It says, if they can play dirty, so can you. It's tempting, isn't it, to match their cruelty with your own, to sling back an insult sharper than the one they threw, to walk away from someone with the same cold indifference they showed you. It feels like justice, like reclaiming power. But here's the truth the Stoics knew, the truth that can save you from a cycle of pain. When you mirror the behavior of those who hurt you, you don't win, you lose yourself. You trade your integrity for a fleeting moment of satisfaction. And that's a price too steep for any soul-seeking clarity. On Zenlight 8, we're diving into the second Stoic principle for navigating life's wounds, refusing to become what hurt you. This isn't about suppressing your anger or pretending the pain doesn't exist. It's about choosing a higher path, one that keeps your spirit intact and your purpose clear, even when the world tempts you to descend into chaos. Let's explore this together, because in a world that rewards retaliation, choosing restraint is the ultimate act of rebellion. Imagine a man standing in a courtroom of his own life, accused falsely by someone he trusted, a colleague, a friend, maybe even a partner. The crowd is watching, waiting for his reaction. He could shout, point fingers, tear down the other person's reputation to match the hurt he feels. But instead, he pauses. He breathes. He walks away, not because he's weak, but because he knows something deeper. The moment he stoops to their level, he surrenders the very thing that makes him whole, his self-mastery. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once wrote, "All cruelty springs from weakness." Think about that. The people who hurt you, who lie, who betray, aren't acting from strength. They're acting from a place of inner chaos, a lack of control that spills over into your world. And if you respond by mirroring their dysfunction, you're not punishing them, you're joining them. You're letting their darkness dim your light. The Stoic doesn't do that. The Stoic rises, not by fighting fire with fire, but by refusing to let the flames consume their character. Let me share a story to bring this home. Meet David, a 40-year-old teacher from Seattle. David poured his heart into his work, staying late to help students, volunteering for every school event, believing in the good of everyone around him. But one day, a colleague he considered a mentor spread a rumor that David was slacking, undermining his reputation to secure a promotion. The betrayal cut deep. David's first instinct was to fight back, to confront his colleague publicly, to expose their lies, to make them feel the same sting he felt. But as he sat with his anger, he remembered something his grandfather, a man of quiet strength, once told him. Never let someone else's weakness turn you into someone you're not. David took a different path. Instead of lashing out, he focused on his work. He doubled down on supporting his students, creating lesson plans that sparked their curiosity. He didn't gossip or retaliate. He let his actions speak. Months later, the truth came out, not because David forced it, but because his consistency and integrity shone brighter than the lies. His colleagues' reputation faltered, not from David's attacks, but from their own actions. David didn't just protect his peace, he protected his character. And that's the kind of victory that lasts. This is what refusing to become what hurt you looks like in practice. It's not about denying your pain or pretending you're above it. It's about feeling every ounce of that hurt, letting it burn, letting it teach you, and then choosing to respond from a place of principle, not impulse. In 2025, when social media amplifies every slight and the world feels like a battlefield of egos, this is harder than ever. You see it every day. A snarky comment online spirals into a full-blown argument. A misunderstanding at work turns into a grudge that lasts months. A personal betrayal leads to a cycle of resentment that poisons your heart. The temptation to clap back, to prove you're not weak, is everywhere. But ask yourself, what does that really win you? A moment of satisfaction, a fleeting sense of control, and at what cost? Every time you react from anger, you give away a piece of your clarity. Every time you match their energy, you drift further from your own. Here's how to apply this in your life right now. The next time someone wrongs you, maybe a friend cancels plans last minute with no explanation, or a coworker takes credit for your work, resist the urge to fire back immediately. Instead, try this Stoic exercise. Write down what happened, exactly as it felt. Don't hold back. Let the anger, the hurt, the frustration spill onto the page. Then, set it aside for 24 hours. Come back and read it. You'll notice something. The emotions that felt so urgent have softened. Now, ask yourself, what response aligns with who I want to be? Maybe it's addressing the issue calmly with clear boundaries like, I noticed you took credit for the project. Let's make sure the team knows everyone's contributions. Next time, maybe it's choosing silence, not because you're avoiding conflict, but because you know your energy is better spent elsewhere. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Over time, this practice rewires your mind. You stop reacting like a puppet pulled by emotion and start responding like a master of your own story. Let's take this a step further with a modern example. Think about social media, where outrage is currency. Last week, I saw a post on X where someone shared a harsh opinion about a public figure. The comments exploded, people hurling insults, digging up old posts, trying to one-up each other's venom. One person, though, stood out. Instead of joining the fray, they wrote, I disagree, but I'd rather hear your reasoning than trade insults. What's your perspective? That simple response didn't just de-escalate, it shifted the entire conversation. People started engaging with ideas instead of egos. That's Stoic power in action, refusing to mirror the noise, choosing clarity over chaos. You can do this too. Next time you're tempted to fire off an angry reply, whether it's a text, an email, or a comment, pause for 10 seconds. Ask, is this who I am? If the answer is no, let it go. Your peace is worth more than proving a point, but refusing to become what hurt you isn't just about restraint. It's about redirection. The energy you save by not retaliating, channel it into something that builds you. Maybe you've been betrayed by a friend who talked behind your back. Instead of spending weeks stewing, use that energy to invest in relationships that lift you up. Call a friend who's always been there. Join a community group that shares your values, or even start a project you've been putting off. In Stoicism, every challenge is an opportunity to practice virtue, and virtue isn't just about what you don't do. It's about what you create. When I faced my own betrayal years ago, I was tempted to dwell on it, to replay every word, every slight. But instead, I started writing. I poured my thoughts into a journal, then into articles, and eventually into this podcast. That pain didn't destroy me. It became the fuel for something meaningful. What could your pain fuel? A new skill? A deeper connection? A step toward a dream you've shelved? The Stoics teach us that what stands in the way becomes the way. Your hurt isn't a dead end, it's a doorway. This principle isn't easy, especially when the world celebrates quick comebacks and sharp tongues. But there's a quiet power in choosing not to mirror the dysfunction around you. It's the power of knowing you're not defined by what others do to you, but by how you respond. You don't need to shout to be strong. You don't need to wound to prove you've healed. You just need to stay true to the person you're becoming. The person who values clarity over chaos, integrity over impulse. So the next time you're tempted to match someone's cruelty, remember David, remember the Stoics, remember your own worth. You're not here to reflect pain. You're here to rise above it. And that rise, it's not just for you. It's for everyone watching. everyone who needs to see that it's possible to endure hurt and still choose honor. We've talked about protecting your peace and refusing to become what hurt you. But what happens when the chaos keeps coming? When the same people keep crossing lines, draining your energy, testing your resolve? That's where our next truth comes in, setting boundaries to preserve your soul. Let's dive deeper. There comes a moment in every life when you realize that not everyone deserves a seat at your table. It's a hard truth, one that can feel like a betrayal of your own kindness, your own openness. But here's what the Stoics understood. What they lived by: your soul is not a public park where anyone can wander in, leaving footprints or litter behind. It's a sacred space, one you're entrusted to guard with wisdom and courage. Setting boundaries isn't about building walls to keep people out. It's about drawing a line where chaos stops and your clarity begins. On Zenlight, we're diving into the third Stoic principle for navigating life's wounds: setting boundaries to preserve your soul. This isn't about rejection or coldness. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to let it be eroded by those who don't honor it. In a world that often mistakes kindness for weakness, boundaries are your declaration of strength, your commitment to living with purpose over pleasing others. Let's explore how to make this real, practical, and transformative in your life. Today, imagine a lighthouse standing tall against a stormy sea. Waves crash, winds howl, but the lighthouse doesn't bend or break. It doesn't attack the storm. It simply holds its ground, shining its light to guide those who seek it. That's what a boundary does. It's not an act of aggression. It's an act of presence. It says, "This is where I stand, and this is what I value." The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Boundaries are your port, your anchor, your way of saying, "I know who I am, and I won't let anyone steer me off course." Too often we think being good means being endlessly available, absorbing every slight, every demand, every expectation. But that's not goodness, that's neglect. Neglect of your own spirit, your own energy, your own purpose. The Stoics didn't live to please everyone. They lived to align with reason, with virtue, with what's true. And sometimes that means saying no, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Let's bring this to life with a story. Meet Rachel, a 28-year-old nurse from Denver. Rachel was the kind of person everyone leaned on. Her patients, her co-workers, even her family. She'd pick up extra shifts, stay late to help a struggling colleague, and answer calls from her sister at 2 a.m., even when she was exhausted. She thought this was what it meant to be compassionate. But over time, she noticed something. She was burned out, resentful, snapping at people she loved. Her kindness was costing her health. One day, after a particularly draining shift, she read Epictetus's words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." It was a wake-up call. Rachel realized she'd been giving everyone access to her time, her energy, her heart, without asking if they deserved it. So she started small. She told her sister, "I love you, but I can't take calls after 10 p.m. I need that time to recharge." She told her boss, "I can take 1 extra shift a week, but not 3. At first, it felt awkward, even selfish. Her sister pushed back, her boss raised an eyebrow. But Rachel held firm, not with anger, but with calm resolve. And something shifted. She started sleeping better. She had energy to go hiking again, something she loved but had abandoned. Her relationships deepened with people who respected her. Limits. Rachel didn't just set boundaries, she reclaimed her life. This is what boundaries do. They protect what's essential so you can give your best to what matters. In 2025, when we're bombarded with demands, work emails at midnight, social media pressure to be on all the time, family expectations that never end, boundaries are your shield. They're not about shutting people out. They're about letting the right ones in. Here's how to start today. Pick one area of your life where you feel stretched thin. Maybe it's a friend who always vents but never listens, or a job that expects you to be available 24/7. Write down one boundary you can set. Make it clear and simple, like, I'm not available for work calls after 6 p.m., or I need 30 minutes of quiet time after work before I can talk. Then practice saying it out loud. Your voice might shake at first. That's okay. The strength comes from doing it anyway. Next, communicate that boundary to one person. Don't over-explain or apologize. Just state it with confidence. For example, if a friend keeps unloading their problems without asking about you, try, I care about you, but I need our conversations to feel balanced. Can we make time to talk about what's going on with both of us? Then, hold that line. Consistency is what makes boundaries work. But let's go deeper, because boundaries aren't just about saying no. They're about saying yes to your higher self. In Stoicism, living with reason means prioritizing what aligns with your values. For me, that meant reevaluating how I spent my time. A few years ago, I was caught in a cycle of overcommitting, saying yes to every invitation, every project, every favor. I thought it made me valuable, but it left me drained, disconnected from my own goals. So I started a practice inspired by Stoic reflection. Every Sunday, I sit with a cup of coffee and a notebook, and I ask, what drained me this week? What filled me up? Then I set one boundary for the week ahead. 1 week, it was turning off my phone during dinner to be present with my family. Another, it was telling a client, I can deliver this by Friday, but not Wednesday. Each boundary felt like a small victory, a step toward a life where my energy went to what mattered, my health, my relationships, my purpose. You can do this too. Start with one boundary a week. Track how it feels in a journal or even a sticky note on your fridge. Over time, you'll see a pattern. The more you honor your limits, the more you honor yourself. Here's a modern twist. To make this even more relevant, think about your digital life. In 2025, our phones are like extensions of our souls. Constant notifications, endless group chats, pressure to respond instantly. A friend of mine, Alex, found himself overwhelmed by a group chat that was more drama than connection. Every day, it buzzed with complaints, gossip, and demands for attention. He felt guilty about leaving, worried he'd seem rude. But one day, he muted the chat for a week. No explanation, no fanfare, just a quiet choice to protect his mental space. That week, he read a book he'd been meaning to finish, went for a run in the park, and felt lighter than he had in months. When he checked back, he realized he hadn't missed anything meaningful. So he left the group, politely saying, I'm stepping back to focus on some personal goals, but I'm here if you want to connect one-on-one. Some people didn't get it, but the ones who mattered respected it. Alex's story shows that boundaries aren't just for big moments. They're for the small, daily choices that add up to a life of clarity. Now, I know boundaries can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to putting others first. People might push back, call you cold or distant. Let them. Their reaction isn't your responsibility. Your peace is. The Stoics didn't argue about their worth. They lived it. Marcus Aurelius said, do not waste time on what a good man should. Be one. The same goes for boundaries. Don't argue about why you need them. Just live them. Over time, the people who belong in your life will adjust. They'll respect your clarity, your strength, your refusal to be anything less than whole. And those who don't, they were never meant to stay. Boundaries don't isolate you, they elevate you. They free you to pour your energy into what aligns with your purpose, whether that's building a career, nurturing relationships, or simply finding joy in a quiet morning walk. So set your boundaries like a lighthouse, steady, unshaken, shining for those who seek your light. In a world that demands your attention, your time, your everything, boundaries are your way of saying, I am here to live, not just to exist. They're your commitment to a life of intention, not obligation. And that commitment, it's what makes you unbreakable. We've covered protecting your peace, refusing to mirror pain, and setting boundaries to guard your soul. But what do you do with the pain itself, the raw, aching weight of it? That's where our final truth comes in, letting pain shape your purpose. Let's dive into that together. Pain has a way of breaking us open, doesn't it? It's like a Storm that rips through your life, tearing down the walls you thought were solid, leaving you exposed, raw, and wondering if you'll ever feel whole again. But what if that storm isn't here to destroy you? What if it's here to rebuild you, to carve out space for something stronger, something truer? On Zenlight 8, we're diving into the final Stoic principle for navigating life's deepest wounds: letting pain shape your purpose. This isn't about pretending the hurt doesn't exist or rushing to get over it. It's about sitting with that pain, listening to what it's trying to teach you, and using it as the raw material for a life of meaning. The Stoics believe that suffering isn't a punishment. It's a forge, a fire that refines you into someone capable of extraordinary things. In a world that often tells you to numb your pain or hide it, we're here to say something different. Your pain is your power if you dare to transform it. Let's explore how to do that step by step in your life right now. Think of a blacksmith at work. He takes a rough piece of metal, imperfect and unformed, and places it in the fire. The heat is intense, unrelenting, but it's necessary. Without it, the metal stays brittle, unusable. The fire softens it, makes it malleable, ready to be shaped into something strong. A sword, a tool, a work of art. Your pain is that fire. It's not here to consume you. It's here to shape you. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every betrayal, every loss, every moment you felt broken wasn't an accident. It was an invitation to become someone new. Not someone perfect, but someone purposeful. Someone who doesn't just survive the storm, but learns to navigate it, to use its winds to sail toward a destination only you can define. Let me share a story that brings this to life. Meet Lisa, a 45-year-old single mother from Atlanta. 10 years ago, Lisa's world fell apart. Her husband of 15 years left her for someone else, leaving her to raise 2 kids alone while working a demanding job as a bank teller. The betrayal was crushing. She spent nights crying, questioning her worth, wondering if her kindness had been a mistake. She could have stayed there in that valley of pain, letting it define her. But one day, flipping through a library book, she stumbled across a Stoic idea from Epictetus. You have power over your mind, not outside events. It hit her like a lightning bolt. Her pain wasn't going away, but she could choose what to do with it. So Lisa started small. She began writing in a journal every night, not just about her hurt, but about what she wanted her life to mean. She wrote about the kind of mother she wanted to be, the kind of woman she wanted her kids to see. Slowly, that writing turned into action. She enrolled in night classes to become a financial counselor, driven by a desire to help others avoid the financial stress she'd faced. Today, Lisa runs a small nonprofit that teaches single parents how to manage money and rebuild their lives. Her pain didn't disappear, it became her purpose. She didn't just survive, she became a lighthouse for others. This is what letting pain shape your purpose looks like. It's not about erasing the hurt or pretending it never happened. It's about asking, what can this teach me? How can this make me stronger? In 2025, when life moves at a relentless pace, bills piling up, relationships straining, the pressure to keep up with everyone else's highlight reels, this principle is your anchor. You don't have to wait for the pain to fade to start living with intention. You start now, right in the middle of it. Here's how. Take a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. Write down one moment in your life that broke you, a betrayal, a failure, a loss. Don't shy away from the details. Let it hurt. Then next to it, write one thing that pain taught you. Maybe a friend's disloyalty showed you the value of trust. Maybe a job loss pushed you to pursue a passion you'd ignored. For me, a falling out with a mentor years ago taught me to trust my own voice. That pain became the spark for this podcast, for sharing these ideas with you. Your pain has a lesson too. Find it, write it down, then take one small step toward acting on it. If your pain taught you the value of trust, reach out to someone who's been there for you and tell them what they mean. If it showed you your strength, sign up for that class or start that project you've been avoiding. One step, That's all it takes to start turning pain into purpose. But let's go deeper, because this isn't just about personal growth, it's about impact. Your pain doesn't just belong to you, it's a bridge to others. Somewhere right now, someone is walking through the same darkness you survived. They don't need your perfection, they need your proof. Proof that it's possible to keep going, to find meaning, to build something beautiful from the ashes. Think about the people who inspire you most. Chances are, they're not the ones who've had easy lives. They're the ones who face the fire and come out stronger. People like Maya Angelou, who turned a childhood of trauma into poetry that lifted millions, or even a coworker who quietly rebuilt their life after a divorce. You can be that person for someone else. In 2025, with communities more connected than ever through platforms like X, your story matters. Share it, even if it's just with one person. Post a thought on social media about a lesson your pain taught you. Start a conversation with a friend about how you're finding purpose. You don't need a stage or a spotlight, just the courage to show up as you are, scars and all. Here's a practical way to make this part of your life. Try a Stoic exercise called premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils. It sounds grim, but it's powerful. Each morning, take 5 minutes to imagine the challenges you might face that day. A difficult conversation, a setback at work, a memory that stings. Then visualize yourself responding with purpose, not reaction. If a coworker snaps at you, picture yourself staying calm, setting a boundary, and moving forward with your goals. If a past hurt resurfaces, see yourself acknowledging it, then choosing one action that aligns with your purpose, maybe writing, exercising, or helping someone else. This practice doesn't erase pain, it prepares you to use it. I do this every day, sitting with my coffee, picturing the moments that might test me. It's like training for a marathon. You don't wait for the race to start running. You build the strength now, so when the pain comes, you're ready to shape it, not be shaped by it. Let's tie this to a modern example. Last month I read a post on X about a young woman named Sarah who lost her job during a company layoff. She was devastated, felt like a failure, and spent weeks spiraling. But instead of staying there, she started volunteering at a local food bank, using her skills to organize their operations. That pain, her loss, became the spark for a new path. She's now training to become a nonprofit manager, turning her setback into a mission to serve others. Sarah's story isn't unique. It's possible for you too. Your pain, whether it's a broken relationship, a missed opportunity, or a quiet grief, is raw material. It's the clay you mold into something meaningful. Maybe it's starting a blog to share your journey, mentoring someone who's struggling, or even just showing up every day with a little more courage than you feel. Your purpose doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be yours. The Stoics remind us that pain is universal, but purpose is personal. You don't choose what hurts you, but you choose what you build from it. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you thought you couldn't go on, they're not wasted. They're the foundation of who you're becoming. In 2025, when the world feels heavy, economic uncertainty, social divides, personal challenges, your ability to transform pain into purpose is your greatest asset. It's what makes you resilient, not because you avoid the fire, but because you learn to walk through it. So don't wait for the pain to disappear. Don't wait for permission or perfection. Start now. Pick one piece of your pain, one lesson it's taught you, and take one step toward making it mean something. That's not just healing, it's heroism. It's the Stoic way of saying, I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. We've walked through 4 truths today: protecting your peace, refusing to mirror pain, setting boundaries, and letting pain shape your purpose. These aren't just ideas, they're tools, practices, a way of living that can transform your life in 2025 and beyond. Life will always bring storms, but you have the power to navigate them, to build from them, to become someone stronger because of them. Here's my advice for living this out today. Start with one small act. Maybe it's 5 minutes of silence to protect your peace, a moment of restraint when you want to react, a clear boundary with someone who drains you, or a journal entry about what your pain is teaching you. Just one act every day for 1 week. Track it in a notebook or on your phone. You'll be amazed at how these small choices add up, how they shift your perspective, how they make you feel not just stronger, but free. This is your life, your story, your purpose. Don't let anyone or anything take that from you. If this episode moved you, if it sparked something in your soul, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below on Zenlight 8 and share 3 simple words. I choose purpose. Your story, your voice, your courage, it matters, not just to you, but to everyone watching who needs to know they're not alone. Hit that subscribe button to join our community, where we're diving deeper into Stoicism and self-improvement every week. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because together, we're building a movement of clarity, resilience, and purpose. Thank you for being here on Zenlight 8. Keep going, keep growing, keep becoming the person your pain prepared you to be. I'll see you in the next episode.